Welcome to Beaded Doilies by Shell. In this video I am going to be introducing you to my video word chart for the right angle weave. Now with the right angle weave, the string ends in a different position with each stitch. So we will have small letters to indicate, for example, I stands for increase, because with my faceted bead art stitch, each row is longer, or at least for the first half, each row is longer than the previous row. So we will be increasing at the beginning and at the end. And then C will stand for current, which I will explain as we go what that means. So the advantage to the word charts is that when I put up videos for larger patterns, you will be able to choose which stitch you would like to use, as my patterns can be done with multiple stitches. Also, the word chart will not change throughout the entire video. So if you come back, you don't have to find your spot in the video. You can start right at the beginning and the word chart will be there for you, and you just have to find your spot in the word chart and continue beading wherever it is you are in your piece. For this video, I'm going to be using my pattern Belle, and I will be using light blue for A, which needs 64 beads. I will be using my sun gold for B, which needs 78 beads. And I will be using jet for C, which needs 54 beads. Now the right angle weave is a 1 needle stitch, so you will need a bead stopper, and I like to put mine 4 to 6 inches into the piece, the string. Now for row 1, we simply have one set of beads, which is 4 beads. All sets are 4, but you don't always add 4. So for the first set, we first want a letter B, followed by letter C, then an A, and then another C. That is our 4 beads for our first row, which is one set of beads. Now we let them drop down to our bead stopper. And then we find the first bead we added and we go through it in the same direction as the first threading. Oops, I have that upside down. Sorry about that. And then that is our row 1, which is one set of beads. Now I have turned it slightly for the next, for row 2, because our string is coming up this way. And for row 2, as we are increasing, and there are 2 types of increasing, which the second one we will show in the next video. The first one I call the 1 step. So it is increase 1, so it is the 1 step increase. And for that we add all 4 beads for the first set together. So we will add, a letter B, followed by a C, then an A, and then another C. And we let that drop down to rest next to our first row. There it is, next to our first row. And then whenever you add 4 beads for the right angle weave, you find the first one and you go through it again in the same direction as your first threading. And then there is the first set of beads of row 2 next to row 1. Now our second set for row 2, our string is coming out of the current row. Right here, this bead is part of the current row we're working on. And we're going to be adding 2 beads, both of which are B color. Now when you add 2 beads, you need to, we'll let them drop down. Let them drop down. When you add 2 beads, you need to go through 2 beads. The first bead we want to go through is the bead on our previous row, that is where the bead stopper is coming out, and then also the end bead on our current row. So we find our bead stopper, we go through that bead, and then we also go through the bead that is pretty much next to it on our current row, and that is the other 2 beads for this set. My string wrapped around itself. Alright, so there is the 2 beads we just added, and we connected them to our previous row, row 1, and to our current row. So we'll turn this to match, and there we are. And now, to get in position for our next set, we need to go through the 2 beads we just added. So we will go, oops, I'm on the wrong way. We go through the first bead we added, and then the second bead we just added. And we turn that so it matches. This is row 1, and this is our row 2, and there is our string coming out the end of our row. Now for the third set, I'm going to adjust the graph so that our end bead is on top and our string is coming out, and the end is an increase because we're increasing by 1, and our string is coming towards our previous row. So the T tells us that our string should be on the same side as our previous row because it should be coming towards it. Then we will add our 3 beads. We need 2 C colors and a B color. And we let those drop down so that they are next to the end of our current row. And then, because we've added 3 beads, we want to go through the bead that our string is coming out of. So we see where our string is coming out, right here, and we go through that bead so that our string is coming out on the same side as it's already coming out. And we bring that so that our 3 beads are now attached to our current row. And now, because we need to get in position for our next row, because you can see our string is coming out on this side towards our previous row, we need to get around to the other side. We will bead through all 3 beads we just added. So we'll go through 1, 2, and 3. And that is our first 2 rows for the right angle weave. Now I feel that the first 2 rows are entities of their own, so I've set it up so this video is only of the first 2 rows. So if you have trouble starting your piece, you can come to this first video and watch just the first 2 rows, and that will get you a good start. And then in the next video we will work on row 3, which will show you the elements of adding more rows. So I hope to see you there.